Here's how to automate YouTube A/B tests so you can run tests every month without having to touch anything. We'll be using N8N to build out our workflow and thumbnailtest.com to run the actual tests. Now, if you're non-technical, don't worry, neither am I. I'll share everything that you need to copy this as we go. So the point of doing this is threefold. Firstly, to save time from having to do this manually. Setting up A/B tests takes a surprising amount of time and energy to do well, and often we either don't do it or we pick 3 or 4 decent opportunities and leave it at that. Whereas if we can automate it, we can run tests across dozens, perhaps even hundreds of videos at a time. The second reason is obviously to bump up the click-through rate across your backlog. I'm always amazed at how even just small changes can have such a massive uplift on a video's click-through rate. And you'll see some examples of tests that I'm running, ones that I've run in the past, to see the kind of uplift that you can get even from just little title changes. And finally, by approaching testing in a systematic way like this, rather than just randomly setting up A/B tests as and when you have time, you're enabling your results to compound, because the larger your channel gets, the larger your video backlog, the larger the potential uplift and the opportunity from running A/B tests. But also, the more work that's involved to create those tests in the first place, unless you approach it in an automated way. So that's why I highly advocate this approach. So let me first run through this whole system at a high level, and then we'll dive into how to build it. And I'll also touch on why I'm not using the native YouTube test and compare feature. So if you've been following the channel, you might have seen a video I recently published where I tested 9 different approaches of using AI to write YouTube video titles. Now, the end point of that video is sort of the starting point of this video. We're going to talk about titles first, we'll come back to thumbnails later. But essentially, the workflow that we built in that video gives us this spreadsheet where for each video on our channel, we're automatically generating a bunch of titles that are decent and ready to test. So if we then go over to N8N, this is where the bulk of our workflow is being built. So here's how this works. Once a month, we're going to go to YouTube and get a list of all the videos in our backlog. We're also going to get all the tests that we're currently running in thumbnailtest.com, merge those two together, and that's going to give us a list of all the videos that do not have a test currently running on them. For each of those videos, we're going to go to our spreadsheet and we're going to get 2 titles that have been approved. We're going to get tomorrow's date because we're going to start the test tomorrow, and we're going to send a message to thumbnailtest.com to create a test testing those 2 variations against our current control title. We're doing this via the thumbnailtest.com API, which I'll explain in a moment. Now, if there are no approved titles, perhaps we've already tested all the approved ones. So for example, this video, it's instead going to go down here, and it's going to basically trigger that workflow that we created in the title generation video to go and generate a bunch of new titles and message us to approve or reject them. I'm working on a workflow that automatically does the approval, but I haven't quite got there with that yet. But it's going to kind of create this sort of full circle mechanism where the testing is automated, but also if there are no variations that are approved to test, it's going to automatically generate them. So that's what's going on in N8N. If we hop over to thumbnailtest.com, you can see it's created those tests for each of these videos. I've not created these manually. These have all been via the API. And the reason why I'm using thumbnailtest.com here rather than YouTube's native test and compare feature, quite a few reasons. Firstly, I was infuriated by the fact that about half the time it would just come back saying the results were inconclusive. YouTube also only show you the watch time share. You can't see things like click-through rate, average view duration, or anything like that. I really like that on thumbnailtest.com, you get access to all the data, so you can get a clearer picture of what's going on. Now, this is not sponsored. I'm not being paid to say any of this. I genuinely think this is a really good bit of kit. But the real reason why I'm using this is because of the API. And I personally think this is criminally underrated. Such a powerful tool because it takes no additional work to create 200 tests than creating 2 tests. To have someone come and generate dozens or hundreds of A/B tests every month manually would be a full-time job, whereas via the API, you can do this programmatically, so it's all automated. So for me, that's the real reason to use it, but the data is also a really nice benefit. There's also lots of other nice things, like you can just do thumbnail tests, you can just do title tests, you can do combinations, you can run the test in different ways. Long story short, I highly recommend it. So that's what's going on at a high level. Now I'm going to break it down and walk through how you can build this step by step. So there are 3 steps to getting this up and running on your channel. So we're going to start with the N8N piece. Now you don't need to go and rebuild this whole workflow. I've created a file that you can just import into your account, which is going to get you about 80% of the way there. I'll walk you through the final 20%. Now, if you don't already have an N8N account, you can create one at this link. That's going to take you to N8N's website. And all you need to do is click get started, enter some details, and that's going to create an account. I believe there's a free trial. I don't think you need to enter a card, but it is going to cost about $20, $30 a month after that. So once you're in, you'll end up on a page something like this. We want to click create workflow, And up here in the top right-hand corner, there are 3 dots. You can click import from file. And if you get the file that I've included in the description below, you should be able to just click that, hit open, and it's going to import that workflow for you. So there are 3 things that you need to change here. Firstly, you need to enter your API key for thumbnailtest.com. So obviously for this, you need to create an account on thumbnailtest.com. To get access to the API, you need to be on the Pro plan. So $37 a month. After I finish recording, I'll drop them a message and see if they can do any kind of discount. So if they come back, I'll drop a link in the description below or promo code, whatever I get. And to get your API key, once you're in thumbnailtest.com, you need to click here, and I believe it's under team settings. I'm gonna do my best to not show my API key here, but I believe down here, you can click create new API key. You then just copy that. And then in Thumbnail Test, all you need to do is select generic credential type, bearer auth, and then create a credential. And all you do is you just pop in your API key there, hit save, and that should connect. Now you only need to do that once. You might need to go into this node over here and just select that same thing. You don't have to reconnect it twice. So that now enables you to automatically send tests up to thumbnailtest.com. The next thing that we need to do is authenticate our YouTube account so we can pull down a list of all our videos. So if we go here, we need to click create new credential, and you can see that we need a client ID and client secret. Now, what I'd probably recommend doing is clicking the Ask Assistant and getting the step-by-step instructions on how to do this. This is kind of generally the easiest way in N8N to know what to do. So in order to get these, you need to go to this page. I'll link this in the description or in a card or something, and click Enable, then click Manage. Then I believe we need to click OAuth consent screen, and I think it's clients. Then you will need to create a client. So I've obviously got the N8N ones there. Click Web App, give it a name, N8N, hello. And your authorized redirect URI is going to be this one, the OAuth redirect URI. So we pop that in there like that, hit create. Then that's going to give you your client ID. So you copy that, bung that in there, and your client secret is going to be this one, which you just stick in here. You hit save, and hopefully if I got the right YouTube API, I think I did, that has all been connected correctly. So one more step is you just need to click sign in with Google and authenticate your YouTube account. So click the email that you use to log into YouTube, select your YouTube channel, and that's just going to give it permissions, and then we're all connected. So that can now pull all the videos from my account. So all that's left to do is to connect this to a spreadsheet that contains the list of titles that we want to test. Now, I'd recommend using Airtable. It's very easy to connect and it's nice to use. But if you want to use Google Sheets, that's totally fine. I'd recommend watching this tutorial where I walk through how to connect Google Sheets to N8N. It is a little bit more work, but not that tricky. So all you need in your spreadsheet really is 3 columns. You need the title. This is going to contain the new titles you want to test, status, and YouTube URL. And remember, the only titles that are going to be tested are the ones that say approve. Now, to begin with, you can just do this manually. You can go to GPT, create some new title ideas, select them as approved, and that's going to get them ready. I'll link to the video in a moment where we walk through how to kind of automate this in case you want to watch that next. But to get started, you can just do this manually. So in order to connect Airtable, you need to go down, click this icon and select Build a Hub. And we need to get a personal access token, which is somewhere down here. Here we go. So we'll click that, click Create Token, and we'll call that N8N. And we need to add some scopes. So I normally just do data records read, data records write, and schema base read. We need to give it access to our base. So this is just the spreadsheet. I'm just going to select all for now, but you could give that access just to the one spreadsheet if you want. We'll give it access to our base, hit create token, and that's going to give us this long token. Now in N8N, if you click on the Airtable node, select create a new credential, it's probably going to be red for you, and you can just drop that in there, hit save, and that's going to be connected. So you should now all be up and running. If you activate this workflow, what's going to now happen is on the 2nd of every month, it's going to go to your Thumbnail Test account, get the tests, get your videos, merge them, get the approved titles from that spreadsheet you just connected, take 2 of them, combine everything together so it's ready to be sent to Thumbnail Test, get tomorrow's date, and it's going to post that to thumbnailtest.com. Now, let's briefly touch on thumbnails. So if you want to modify this workflow to also run thumbnail tests, it's technically pretty straightforward, though there are a few challenges. So Thumbnail Tests API allows you to choose the type of test you run. You can either do a title, thumbnail, or thumbnail and title test. And all you need to do is, in the same way that we're sending over our variations of titles in an array like this, you just need to do the same with thumbnail URLs. Now, how you set that up in here is basically in this node where we're sending that information. You would just need to add a parameter like thumbnails, and you need to build an array where you've got your different thumbnail URLs comma separated like this. Now, the technical setup is not so much the challenging bit. The thing that's difficult with thumbnails is, unlike titles, it only takes one detail being wrong in the thumbnail for the whole thumbnail to not be usable. So trying to automate this at scale is pretty challenging. I've had a go. I'm still struggling to get this right. I'm trying to use Nano Banana to automatically generate thumbnail images, but it's not quite working. If this is something you'd be interested in or would like to collaborate on, feel free to drop me a comment or an email, because I'd love to get this working, but it's just not quite there at the moment. Hence why I've not covered it in detail in this video. But this workflow can definitely be modified if we can generate the thumbnail images. Now, if you've got a designer who's generating you 3, 5 thumbnail variations, then all this would really take is doing a search in, say, Google Drive, getting the URLs of those images, building an array, and then populating it in this node. So it's technically possible. It's just that design piece that for me is the current bottleneck. Finally, if you want to learn how to automate generating titles using AI that are actually going to increase your click-through rate, you can check out this video where I tested 9 different methods head-to-head, one of which was 17 times more effective than directly prompting GPT.